matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
I don't wanna write this down, I don't wanna tell you how I feel right now. I don't wanna take no time to write this down, I don't wanna tell you how I feel right now. Hey, tomorrow may never come. For you or me, life is not promised. Tomorrow may never show up. For you and me, this life is not promised. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. Put my heart and soul into the song. I hope you feel me from where I am to wherever you are.
KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Melina Abdullah has been kind enough to join me this morning. She is a professor at Cal State LA. She's also the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, lead organizer for BLM LA, a leader in her faculty union, and a host on this station. She hosts This Is Not a Drill Saturday mornings at 8 right here on KBLA Talk 1580 and on Facebook and other places too. Dr. Melina Abdullah, welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Sister Dominique.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. I know that you, aside from your regular scholar job, professor job, teacher thing, that you, know a lot about the man popularly known as H. Brown, Jamil Al Amin, and he made his transition at the age of 82. I know that you've done some work around his case, so I thought it would be great if you would share why, what that work is and why his legacy is so important.
Well, to Allah we belong, and to Allah we shall return, and may his soul rise in power. Imam Jamil Al Amin was just a beautiful, powerful, brilliant, courageous soul who was framed for murder by this country who never let up on him because he was a voice. It was unafraid to say what the government is, to say what Black people have a right to, and to fight for it. So when he was known as H. Brown, when he was a student at Howard University, he was part of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and people who study SNCC know that SNCC is kind of a bridge organization between the Civil Rights era and the Black Power era, right? So people know people like Kwame Ture, who formerly Stokely Carmichael, who ushered SNCC in from being a civil rights organization that was nurtured and built and empowered by people like Ella Baker, right, and began as really an interracial organization. And you know this very well, right? Started with that, but then the young people within SNCC, the Black people who were becoming radicalized within SNCC, decided that we don't want an interracial hold your hand organization anymore. And they transitioned to a stance of Black power. And H. Brown, he was then H. Brown, was part of that transition. He was dear friends and comrades with Stokely Carmichael. I've been spending time over the last few days watching old videos of them together because I think it's really important that we remember that even though he was a towering figure and towering quite literally as H. Brown and of course, is Jamil Abdullah Al Amin. His name is known and carries power, but he was also a 6'5" black man who had this booming voice, right? So he's this towering figure, literally. And he, together with Stokely Carmichael, really built SNCC into this bridge Black Power organization that unabashedly said that Black people need to fight with, quote unquote, by any means necessary to get themselves free. And so he was courageous enough to say what needs to be said even in moments like this, that the state is violent against Black people. And for us to say all we're going to do is turn the other cheek and sing "We Shall Overcome" is not enough. And so he questioned, the use of violence, especially violence as self-defense. He said, everything needs to be on the table. And that's where he began advancing what was really seen as revolutionary and scary to a state that's dead set on keeping Black people oppressed. He continued to fight. There was a moment when SNCC and the Black Panther Party became aligned. And under the Black Panther Party, he was the Minister of Justice under the Black Panther Party. And then by the late 1970s, he became a devout Muslim and studied and became an Imam, really well-known Imam. I think he had 30 or so mosques that were that he led in the South. He moved to Atlanta and began leading, became a Muslim leader in the South.
And then after he had established himself in that regard, the government came for him again.
That's right. So the government never stopped surveilling him. And this is a lesson for now, right? That when we talk about the stalker state as Black Lives Matter, when Hamid Khan and Stop LAPD Spying Coalition talks about all of these devices and apparatus, when we talk about the idea that white supremacist capitalism, and now in the form of fascism, has its sights set on Black organizers, remember that they have their sights set on Black organizers. And once they sink their teeth into you, they do not ever let you go. And so I remember, and Sister Dominique, I'm sure you do too, that, we thought H. Rap Brown was a historic figure. We thought Imam Abdullah Al Amin was now a Muslim cleric. And we weren't really thinking about, how this elder, because he was an elder to us, he was 82, he's the age of our parents, right? We thought that he was a Muslim leader and a grocer, right? He was a grocer in Atlanta. We thought that's what he was. And in 2000, the state came after him and absolutely framed him for the murder of a cop. There's actually someone who was already in prison who confessed to the murder for which Imam Al Amin was imprisoned. He stayed in prison for 25 years. He shed his body in prison on Sunday, and we know that it was the state that set him up for that murder. Their story is they were attempting to serve a warrant on his home, and then he killed them, but there are no fingerprints on the weapon, and you have this confession by somebody else. So it's very clear. There's also documentation that they were monitoring him, that he'd been under surveillance since the 1960s.
I mean, and the thing is, earlier, before he went to prison the first time, they tried so many times. There were several, right? There were several charges that were brought against him time and time again. They tried to get him in prison and failed, and finally they were able to get him into prison the first time. So to me, it speaks to what you're saying about targeting and this sort of relentless pursuit of a way to imprison him, even as he was living his own life and had moved on with his life.
That's right. So in the 60s and 70s, they've been targeting him. He stood trial several times. And then in the records, what it says is they need to be more creative with setting him up. And so by 2000, they had set him up and it stuck, right? And they were able to frame him and convict him of a murder that he absolutely did not commit. And he maintained his innocence for 25 years that he didn't commit this murder, even though, he said everything is on the table to get us free. So, I'm sure had he done it, he would have done it proudly, but he did not. And it was very, very clear that the state had his sights set on them. And if we think about that period, right, this is the same period when we talk about the San Francisco 8 being retargeted. So they never let go. They are, like you said, relentless in their setup of Black revolutionaries.
Yeah, and I want to put this in before I forget. I found it so shameful that they kept him in solitary confinement for much of those 25 years. I mean, someone of his age and someone of his contribution to the community, that they kept him in solitary confinement for so much of that time. It really is angering, actually.
And they refused him medical care. They refused his family to visit him time and time again. Everything was a battle. They treated him terribly inside. They treated him like an enemy of the state. And they saw him that way from the time he was a young man until he shed his body on Sunday. And, his son says his father is finally free.
So sad. We're talking about Jamil Abdullah Al Amin. The name H. Rap Brown might be what you connect with him. He died at the age of 82. And we're talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah. She's agreed to stay with us for just a little bit more and share more about why this man is such a towering historical and literal figure, or was, shall I say. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya Kuselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit Tremfya.com.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavish Smiley. We want to speak directly to our listeners in Altadena and all across Southern California. Recently, we invited Southern California Edison to join a town hall so fire survivors could ask questions and get clear information about the Altadena Eaton fire and this so-called settlement fund. Weeks before the event, the law firm originally connected to the program withdrew, and we provided SCE updated materials confirming those changes. But despite that, SCE later stated publicly and privately that they were pulling out of the town hall because plaintiffs' attorneys were participating. That was not accurate, and SCE knew that it was not accurate. But when shown documentation that disproved their claim, SCE ignored it and declined to correct the record. At KBLA Talk 1580, trust is not an option. It is the foundation of our work and witness. It is the promise that we make to you. And so we will not move forward with any partnership that misrepresents the facts or undermines the credibility that we have built in love and service to this beloved community. Our commitment remains with the good people of Altadena. We will continue providing independent, verified information to support your recovery. without interference from any outside entity, including Southern California Edison, so you don't get burned twice. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah, and one of the things that I don't understand about, well, maybe what I should say is that I would love for you to break down about Jamil Al Amin is this idea that, we had a person confessing, from what I've read multiple times, incredibly, to the crime that he was convicted of, and yet he was never able to get released or have his sentence commuted or any kind of retrial. What do you attribute that to?
Well, it was a setup in the first place, right? The whole goal of it, right? We have to remember that this is a criminal system of injustice, right? That's what one of our brothers, who's one of the exonerated five, calls it, is a criminal system of injustice, right? That the system is designed to produce this outcome. It was not accidental that Imam Jamil Al Amin wound up in prison. That was the whole purpose of what they were doing. They intended to set him up and send him to prison. So it didn't matter to them that there was a credible person who confessed to that killing. They wanted Jamil Al Amin in prison. This is a punishment for a Black man who dared to struggle righteously for the freedom of Black people. It was a message to go to both Black community, Black revolutionary community, and Muslim community. And I think it's really important that we uplift that intersection when we talk about Baba Sekou Odinga, when we talk about Imam Jamil Al Amin, when we talk about many of those who find Islam as a part of their continuation and revolution, right? One of the 99 names of Allah is justice. So as Muslims, we are duty bound to struggle for our own freedom, right? To serve Allah also means to serve the cause of justice. And so they saw even his role in Islam, even his faith, as a challenge to the system. So they intended to keep him locked up. And to your point about solitary confinement, one of the reasons they kept him in solitary confinement is they didn't want this brilliant, courageous man to begin to educate people inside the prison, which is what many folks wind up doing. And someone like Imam Jamil could have totally awakened the prison to, those who found themselves behind the walls, could have awakened them to their own power and their own right to be free. So I think that's why the confession didn't mean anything, because they had him where they wanted him. They didn't want the truth. They didn't want, the person who actually pulled the trigger. Remember, there was never any physical evidence. So they wanted him in prison because they wanted to silence him.
Yeah, I mean, according to the New York Times, he appealed in 2004 and 2019 and was denied. But I know that, just from being around activists, that there's a push to this day to have him released, at least for medical care at the very minimum.
That's right. And his son, and we have to, really uplift his son, who's been just, the force for his father, right? He would give regular medical updates, tell us how urgent it is that he gets medical care, and even the minimal medical care that he received was because his son never stopped fighting for him. His son never stopped fighting for his father's freedom, and he's not even stopping now. He wants him exonerated now. Even posthumously, he wants him exonerated now. He wants him to be exonerated of what he was accused of doing. And so the legal team is continuing the fight, and his son is also continuing to fight, even as he mourns his father's passing.
I mean, the crazy thing, I understand what you're saying. They targeted him. They wanted to punish him. But the fact of the matter is you've got someone confessing to the murder of these cops, and that information was withheld from his defense lawyers. So I'm just saying, how do you justify that? I mean, I understand the craven, motivation behind it, but I'm just saying legally, how do you justify that when there's a confession, there's improprieties in the way that the case was prosecuted. But let's backtrack a little, because I know I only have you for a short time this morning. He was known to be someone who, well, I mean, I guess the most famous quote is that violence is, I think, as American as cherry pie, something like that. Someone who was adamant in his belief that we have a right to defend ourselves, that we have a right to meet violence with violence in order to defend ourselves.
That's right. I mean,
yeah.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I didn't wait for the question.
No, that's good enough.
Let me not jump out here. Yes, he said those things, and I think that we also need to remember that when you look at the writings, and he's somebody who was also a scholar, right, who read other thinkers, who was in community with other thinkers. And, when you talk about that America was born in violence, and he often talked about that America was born out of violence. America was born out of the genocide meted out against indigenous people. As we enter this Thanksgiving, we have to remember that this country is founded on genocide. This country is founded on genocide. This country is also founded on the horrific theft of Black people from where we come from, that the bodies that litter the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean are our foremothers and our forefathers, that this country is founded on some of the most horrific violence imaginable. And so when he says violence is as American as cherry pie, violence is woven into the fabric of America. And it's not lost on me that he said cherry pie, which is red, not apple pie, right? And I imagine the blood, right? I imagine red signifying the blood, because H. Rap Brown, right, was also poetic and brilliant and understood and was deliberate in his language. So he's carrying out or saying what many others have also said, right? Angela Davis famously also says, when she's asked about violence, that how dare you ask me as a Black person in America about violence when it's America who metes out violence on us, right? And I think in this moment, when we see violence unleashed on Black people, and I know people have turned their heads, but violence is unleashed on Black people. We just saw this Black mother, this Black pregnant mother, Takia Young, be assassinated in front of a Kroger grocery store, and the white cop who killed her be completely exonerated for her death. Violence is not only meted out against Black people, it's condoned by the state. And I think that's the point that Imam Jamil is making when he says that violence is as American as cherry pie. So then what is the answer to the state's violence? In the words of people like Robert F. Williams, it requires self-defense. It's not enough to just sit there and take it, or even in the current context, to film it, right? I know if somebody jumps on my kids, I'm fighting back.
Yeah. It's well said. Just a couple minutes here before you have to leave us. Dr. Melina Abdullah, what is being left out of the mainstream narrative about Al Amin? What is the thing that we need to hold on to that maybe is going to be de-emphasized?
Well, as his soul rises, we want to pray with his family. As his spirit rises, we also want to, as he rises to the realm of the ancestors, invoke that courage, invoke that brilliance, invoke that unabashed commitment to freedom. We also want to uplift that we've been successful in many of our struggles to get our people free. So I'm grateful that Baba Mutulu Shakur died in freedom. I'm grateful that Rochelle McGee died in freedom. We also have continuing political prisoners, right? So Mumia Abu-Jamal, in many ways, his case reminds me of Imam Jamil Al Amin because his son is at the forefront of this fight. On December 9th, Mumia Abu-Jamal's son will be here in Los Angeles to try to get his father free. And in many ways, Mumia Abu-Jamal, who's also framed for murder, right? He's in prison in Pennsylvania. We're trying to get him free. So on December 9th at 6:30 p.m., we'll be at the Center for Black Power with the son of Mumia Abu-Jamal. Jamal Ibn Mumia will be with us. And so we have to fight for the freedom of our people. We also have to remember the words of Imam Jamil, that it is our duty to fight by any means necessary, to get free, to be unafraid, and to remember that when we rise up collectively, they can't imprison or kill us all. And that's how we honor his legacy.
Yeah.
And read his books. Read his books. Die and Die is one of them, and Revolution by the Book is another.
Jamal Ibn Mumia will be with us that morning as well on the 9th, on First Things First. So thanks for lifting that up. Dr. Abdullah, 30 seconds. What do you want to say?
We want to say, look, it's also doing the work right now. Follow BLM Grassroots. We're in court this morning for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Follow BLM Los Angeles for the outcome of that. The terrible DA is trying to dismiss the charges against the cop who killed Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. So again, BLM Grassroots and BLM Los Angeles on Instagram. Dr.
Abdullah, thanks so much for jumping in.
Thank you.
Phone lines are open, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says substantial progress was made in Geneva talks to end the Russian-Ukraine war.
I can tell you that I feel very optimistic that we can get something done here.
He calls it the best meeting yet as Trump pushes a 28-point peace plan giving Ukraine until Thursday to agree to territorial concessions and military limits. The Coast Guard is reinforcing its ban on hate symbols, saying divisive flags and items like swastikas and nooses are prohibited. The updated policy strengthens a 2019 rule and comes after reports the agency might soften its stance. And reggae legend Jimmy Cliff has died at the age of 81. His family says he passed after a seizure and pneumonia. Known for hits like Many Rivers to Cross and The Harder They Come, Cliff starred in the 1972 film of the same name and was inducted into the Rock Hall in 2010. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and most of all, being known, loved, and protected. There are thousands of kids waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Interested gaming at Crypto.com Arena tonight in downtown LA. The Lakers and Clippers meet up for the first time this season. The outlook for both teams at the start of the season is very different. At 12-4, the Lakers have the third best record in the Western Conference, despite not having LeBron for the first 14 games. The Clippers have the fourth worst record in the West at 5-12. They were 2-7 while Kawhi Leonard missed 9 games with an ankle injury. Leonard returned to the lineup Sunday at Cleveland, but will he be at full strength to deal with LeBron or Luka Doncic? This is a national TV game tonight on NBC. The Clippers' problems could get exposed to the entire country. As for the Lakers, the country will see why they are one of the NBA's surprise teams. 8 o'clock tip-off. Top 5 women's college basketball teams in this week's top 25 poll: UConn, South Carolina, 6-0 UCLA, Texas, and LSU. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
The laws have not changed in California. All workers must be paid properly and protected from retaliation. Retaliating against a worker or not paying them because of their immigration status is illegal. Don't believe the lies. California laws protect all workers, regardless of immigration status. Document retaliation and wage theft. Report it to the Labor Commissioner's office. Learn about your labor rights. Visit wagetheftisacrime.com.
Celebrate the soul of the holidays and support Altadena and Pasadena. Join us on Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City soul, gospel, and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This performance comes at a pivotal time for many in Altadena and Pasadena. This is their first holiday season since the devastating Altadena Eden Canyon fire, which destroyed homes and community spaces. While the physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon fire. For ticket information, just log on to tickets@thewallace.org. That's tickets@thewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed. It's not too late to call me if you want to say something. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. So Dr. Melina Abdullah was talking about H. Rap Brown, who is now known as Jamil Al Amin, Imam Jamil Al Amin, because he was a cleric, a Muslim cleric. And I want to take a second to read you some of these headlines because it's an excellent example of what I talk about when I talk about literacy, media literacy, reading between the headlines, not accepting the official story, looking at more than one source, considering the source, following the money. The New York Times says Jamil Abdullah Al Amin, Black Power activist known as H. Rap Brown, dies at 82. CNN, former Black Panther leader H. Rap Brown dies in prison, hospital at 82. Notice CNN doesn't even call him by his actual legal name now. They say we're going to call him what we want to call him. Fox News, Jamil Al Amin, convicted deputy killer, dies in prison. CARE, Georgia, extend condolences after Imam Jamil Al Amin passes away in prison for crime he did not commit. You see what's happening here? All of these news outlets, except for CARE, because CARE is actually an organization, a nonprofit organization. All of these organizations will tell you that they are objective, that they're just saying the facts. But all of these framings are so wildly different in what they project about this man. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so so insistent about this idea of reading between the headlines. It goes along with what happened at Twitter/X with Elon Musk creating a feature where you could see where these accounts were located, these supposed MAGA influencer accounts, which is the same thing we saw with a lot of these black Tariq Nasheed-esque accounts. Why do I call them that? Because they were sort of black nationalist accounts, where we later found out they were really Ukrainians or somewhere in Moldova or something like that in a basement. So by Musk revealing this, we found out that a lot of these MAGA influencer accounts are actually foreign powers in Eastern Europe or Asia that are looking to influence U.S. public opinion, our elections, and particularly black people for whatever reason. I think that reason being that we influence others, and because sometimes we get caught up and do not practice media literacy, right? Do not consider the source. This is a perfect example of consider the source. CARE Georgia extends condolences after Imam Jamil Al Amin passes away in prison for a crime he did not commit. That headline tells you this man is a cleric, that he died in prison and was not treated justly because he didn't commit this crime. This headline tells you that he had widespread support outside of the carceral system and that he contributed something to society. Compare that with Fox. Jamil Al Amin, convicted deputy killer, dies in prison. They take away the title. They reduce him to a deputy killer and make it sound like that was all there was to him, and he simply died in prison, as deserved. And CNN walks a line somewhere in between by saying former Black Panther leader H. Rap Brown dies in prison hospital at 82. But doesn't give him his title nor his name. As the scholar Neely Fuller said, call people what they wish to be called, and if you don't do so, what is that? It's disrespect. And I say that to say that we, especially now in the age of AI, we have got to be more media literate. Why does Fox frame it one way and CARE frame it another way? What is their mission? Where does their money come from? What do they want from you? What do they want for you? You see what I'm saying? And so I'm thinking about, mis and disinformation. I think about Viola Fletcher, who passed away at the age of 111 after waiting, 105 years for justice that never came. This is another case of disinformation. The Tulsa race massacre, as they now call it, came about because supposedly a black man threatened to rape or was planning to rape a white woman that he tried to rape. That's what it was. He supposedly tried to rape a white elevator operator, this woman, Sarah Page, in the building where she worked. He was a shoe shiner. Well, that girl, unlike Emmett Till's accuser, that Sarah Page said that didn't happen. He didn't try to rape me. He did nothing wrong. And they didn't care, or they got caught up in the social media rumor. At the time, there was no Twitter, no Instagram, no Facebook, no TikTok. But this rumor still spread like wildfire, and it was used as an excuse to destroy an entire community, to render homeless 10,000 black people, and raze to the ground 1,000 homes. And who knows how many businesses, and who knows how many people murdered, because we still don't have that information. And so we can say mis and disinformation is new in the social media age, but it is something that violent white supremacists have always used to further their agenda. Now they can just do it more efficiently and more quickly. And so we've got to be smarter than that. We've got to be able to outsmart, outrun, outthink, out-understand, out-receipt, out-data, all of this. And that has to be times 100 in the age of AI. Let's go to Jamil calling us from LA. Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Alaikum salam.
Dominique. And my peace and blessings to your staff and Mr. Smiley. You guys always are doing a very, very wonderful job for the community. I was blessed at one time when I was in South Carolina. My mother let me use her car, and I wanted to go to Juma. I'm a practicing Muslim. So I drove over to Atlanta to go to Juma, and I was very surprised that Imam Jamil Al Amin was the imam there at that masjid I went to, because when I grew up in the 60s, I remember the black radical Rat Brown. And,
right.
You know, he told people, instructed them, if you didn't want your house burned down, the entire black rag around the pole of your house and, you know, you was going to be saved, that type of thing. But I was just impressed to see the growth that he had, and I had a chance to actually shake his hand and speak with him briefly. And so hearing his passing, you know, this morning, you know, I was not shocked because I know the treatment they were giving him in prison. And, you know, that never would have happened if he was a Caucasian or somebody else. They were dogging the brother out. May Allah bless him in the paradise, but thank you all for raising that up and talking about him. You know, I listen to you religiously. I even leave my radio on when I'm out of the room just to be in tune with KBLA.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
We appreciate that.
Thank you very much, and thank your whole staff and everybody, and Mr. Smiley. I had a chance to briefly speak to Mr. Cornell West and Mr. Smiley when I went to the Left Coast Forum that they had, which was a good event, very good event. But anyway, may Allah bless the brother Jamil Al Amin in the paradise and bless him for the good that he did. But he was not the bad person that they want to expose or put out.
Yeah, of course not. Jamil, did you share a name with him?
Yeah, I do. You know what? I chose my Muslim name was Mwita at one time at the first, but then I added on after meeting the Imam Jamil. I chose to put Jamil first, you know, as my name. A.K.A. James Garrett. I sang with a group called the Blackbirds in my younger years.
Okay. Well,
Love Don't Strike Twice. That's me leading background. They ripped me off. It's a long story. Hey, sister, thank you again, but I'm dressing. I'm trying to get out. I got to keep this medical appointment at 72 years young. And bless you all. Tell Mr. Smiley thank him, and thank you. Thank Andy and all your announcers and people that keep us plugged up. And we love y'all.
We love you more. Thank you so much, Jamil, and thanks for sharing that story. It's a perfect time to call me. It's not too late. We got time before I pass the mic to Mr. Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Life in Los Angeles is vibrant, diverse, and full of opportunity. But sometimes a bad day in LA isn't just a bad day. Being treated differently or unfairly because of language, race, ethnicity, religion, or a medical condition can happen to anyone, and it is against the law. Have you faced unfair treatment when shopping, receiving services, or by an employer in the city? The Los Angeles Civil Rights Department enforces civil and human rights law to reduce private sector discrimination. We're here to work with you to find remedies, corrective actions, and help to connect you with needed resources. Don't let discrimination and unfair treatment go unchecked. Report your discrimination complaint at laisforeveryone.com. We want to hear your story. Visit laisforeveryone.com because your civil rights matter. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
It does, and we got a lot of folks on the phone, so we're going to do a speed round here of calls before we go into the incredible Tavis Smiley show. Let's go to Mikael from LA. Hi, Mikael. Short version, if you would, sir.
Shalom. This is Mikael, the Hebrew Israelite. I used to live in Atlanta. I lived there from 82 to 85. Then I came out here. And I used to play basketball on the West End. That was a long time ago. And he had H. Brown had a grocery store across the street. I used to go in there and buy food, and he was a very good person, very intelligent man. I couldn't get over how intelligent he was, because I was just coming into the truth of the black Hebrew Israelites. But he was a good man. I was hurt when I heard about it, because I've been out here for 40 years, since 85. Wow. But he was a very good person. I'm very disappointed. I'm very hurt what happened.
Yeah, it's really sad that that they set him up, scooped him up, and he died in prison. But it is also worth noting that he was in touch with activists. People were advocating for his release until the day that he passed, as Dr. Melina shared, and his own son continues to advocate for his exoneration, for the return of his good name, even posthumously. Thank you, Mikael. Appreciate that. We're going to go to Willie from Palmdale. Hi, Willie.
Hello, Dominique. I was just calling to say a friend of mine sent me a text about the MOVE organization in Philadelphia, where the helicopter dropped a bomb and burnt down so many houses in that area.
Yes. Just another example of the government, attacking black people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to just say I just need to get myself together, because I need to know where I stand, and I guess a lot of people say get educated or get involved. But
well, you know what? I always feel like if we would read or write for the holidays instead of shopping and eating, we might start the new year a little bit more clear on where we are. Thank you for your time. Going to Jamal from LA. Good morning, Jamal.
Good morning, KBLA family. Yes, this is Brother Jamal. I'm 74. And Brother Jamil was a few years older than me. And I met him up front and personal. And he was a good brother. He was a soldier. I mean, I held him in high regard, just as I held in high regard Frederick Douglass and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I held him in high regard on the same level as those people. The brother was truly a soldier, and he will surely be missed. I even wrote him when he was in prison. Wow,
that's powerful. That's powerful, Jamal.
And, I took it upon myself to do that. I found out where he was and when he was in prison many years ago.
I love that.
So,
That's actually,
you
that's brilliant. Write to folks,
yes,
show them that they're appreciated, that we appreciate the sacrifices that they
that's
made for
right.
us. Yeah.
That's right. So I know this is a quick run, but I just had to take the time out to do it, and he surely will be missed. He was another one of our black shining prince, for sure. Thank you, KBL, and thanks for talking about the brother, and I look forward to hearing more about him.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's interesting, this article in the New York Times, I just noticed it because I was so busy reading the article. The picture that they have, it says, Mr. Al Amin, fifth from the left, in 1967, sat with other black leaders to express support for the writer Leroy Jones Jr., who later changed his name to Amiri Baraka. So it's actually a photo of Imam Al Amin with my father and a bunch of other people who are supporting my dad. That was during the Newark uprising when they busted my dad's head open, and we couldn't find him. He was in police custody. No one knew where he was until all of these black leaders joined with white poets and demanded to know where he was, which is probably why he lived to tell the tale. But this is a wild photo. Let's go to Eric calling us from Carson. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Dominique. I just want to say very quickly, my name is Eric Green, and I wanted to talk real quick about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has a public divorce with Trump. She was over the 14th district in Georgia, and she, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. She was part of MAGA, and she claims that she she resigned to avoid a hurtful and hateful primary, and I'm just wondering, she definitely would have had an uphill battle for re-election, and I just wonder if she's, potentially trying to go for some higher office in 2028. Was that her agenda?
Well, she claims she's not. I mean, you're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, or I guess Trump calls her now Trader Green or whatever. She claims she's not. She says she's not in it for power like that. She was thinking about running for Senate. That, I think the president has made it clear that he will kneecap her no matter what she decides to do. I don't know the real story. I've heard a lot of different theories about why she decided, to bounce from her job. I mean, why would she leave early? I feel like she's not the only one. You notice a bunch of Republicans have either said they're not running again or they're stepping down. I feel like it is very toxic. She said she didn't want to be like a battered wife, right? She didn't want to be like a DV victim. And so what we hear is the president talking smack to her publicly, but what does that sound like privately? I don't know.
I'll just close and say, I hate to say this, but I have more respect for Trump than I do for Marjorie Taylor Greene, because he shows you, I know, he shows you who he is, and I feel like she is fake. And so that's my take on it, but I do want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving.
And the same to you. And the same to you. I mean, she may well, she probably is fake. I mean, she's said some horrible things, and everyone's reminding us. It's not just the laser beams from outer space that's, owned by the Rothschilds that supposedly started the wildfires. There's a lot of other stuff. She said racist stuff, sexist stuff. She's said a lot of and done a lot of terrible things, and maybe, and she has to pay the price for that, whether she's suddenly awakened or whether she's just playing us, right? Again, who knows? She's going to be out of Congress. Who knows what she'll do next? She might be a commentator on, some network. I don't know. CNN probably. They like to have recycled Republicans on there. But apparently she's not the only one. They're saying what we're hearing is that the toxic environment in the House of Representatives right now is having some other Republicans saying they might bounce too. Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska is retiring, and he said he's angry, but he's also apparently not the only one. Like there's Axios is quoting a House Republican who said that he's thinking about retiring, and that there are a number of other Republicans who are at the point of just bailing. Because of the way that things are going in the House, the way they're treated by the president, they have a barely any majority. They're on crazy town time. I mean, it really, you're going to try to court-martial a sitting U.S. senator for telling soldiers to follow the law? Like, this is where we are right now. And I think the other thing to consider is that the assassination of Charlie Kirk has them feeling vulnerable and scared, right? That because apparently this one guy, Congressman Burchett out of Tennessee, said that they're getting a lot of death threats. And those death threats are one of the reasons that people want to leave. He said it takes a toll on people. And that the increase in political violence is one of the things that has people saying, you know what, I'm out. Congresswoman Victoria Sparks says she doesn't blame Marjorie Taylor Greene, that the institution has betrayed the American people and the environment is toxic. So I think we don't know the real reason, but I think there's more to this than meets the eye. And the kind of abuse and threats of assassination that someone like Congresswoman Maxine Waters has been dealing with for decades is something they can't handle for a month. Okay? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got an incredible show on deck for you, so you do not want to miss that. Thank you for rolling with me. I'll see you on social media. I'm at DePrima Radio everywhere. We are at KBLA 1580 everywhere. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Like my dad, the late great Amiri Baraka, used to say, a man is either free or he is not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom. Until next time, KBLA delegation, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says substantial progress was made in Geneva talks to end the Russian-Ukraine war.
I can tell you that I feel very optimistic that we can get something done here.
He calls it the best meeting yet as Trump pushes a 28-point